To open the commencement, I invite the 2021 Salutatorian, Cecilia Noreen Visco, to the podium to deliver her speech.
Thank you, Mrs. Byrne. Members of the Board of Trustees, Monsignor Keene, Mrs. Davidson, Mrs. Byrne, Ms. Moore, Mrs. Lynch, faculty and staff, family and friends, and fellow members of the class of 2021. Good morning, and welcome to graduation. Graduates, when we each began our journey at Ursuline, I'm sure we were given a lot of the same advice. I remember one particular piece of advice coming from a few awestruck seniors in my first days of 6th grade. As these seniors marveled at the distant obtuse year of 2021 that followed our email usernames, they advised me and my classmates to make the most of every moment at Ursuline. While I'm sure that their years did fly by, I don't think anyone could have predicted the sentiment that would take on for our class. As these past few weeks have prompted us to look back on our years together, I know many of us have been clinging to our moments at Ursuline. Perhaps to the surprise of some, it's been an emotional hurdle to process the idea of leaving Ursuline. After all, there's so much of our Ursuline experience that we've been inclined to feel robbed of in the last year and a half. I won't tell you not to feel that, but let me suggest this. In a time where everything we consider normal about school was stripped away, Ursuline continued. We certainly made adjustments along the way, but Ursuline continued. I know that Ursuline continued because when I look at you all today, I see the products of an Ursuline education, an education that looks beyond facts and figures to support the growth of individual thinkers. So, if Ursuline continued without the building we stand before today, without morning announcements and ID cards, without red velvet muffins and school chants, what is Ursuline? What continued to carry on the life of Ursuline? Well, we did. We remained, and Ursuline continued. When we choose to show up at 8 a.m. every morning, or maybe a little later for those of us who require caffeine, we hold the bar high for Ursuline academic commitment. When we choose to seek out ways to support and improve our community, we preserve the Ursuline value of service. When we turn to Scripture and recognize that a Catholic education is one that prioritizes inclusivity and respect, even for members like me who are not Catholic, we carry on the faith that grounds Ursuline's values. We, the students of Ursuline, are Ursuline. In the fall of 2020, when hybrid scheduling mandated that our grade be broken into cohorts, each cohort of our senior class was led through a day-long retreat. Because it was the year 2020, the rain date for the gold cohort's retreat also ended up bringing rainy weather. But the campus ministry team adjusted their original plans of holding a bonfire by projecting one on a large screen in our gym. In a guided meditation, we were instructed to look into the fire, examine the full spectrum of colors it held, and recognize every branch of community that we have in our lives. I've been in the presence of campfires before at summer camp, and my inclination is usually to only get as close as I need to make a s'more. Yet, I could not think of a more perfect metaphor for what our world, what Ursuline, what we as students are realizing more and more that we must do. As we spent 2020 in quarantine, we watched our world burn. Our world burns as the medical community is burdened with the responsibility of responding to a crisis to which the end seems just in sight but never truly arrives. Our world burns as lack of action towards a more sustainable future changes the fabric of our environment, literally exacerbating wildfires in our own nation. Our world burns as patterns of oppression against minorities, especially systemic discrimination and violence against Black Americans, are dismissed as isolated incidents and die off as little more than social media hashtags. With no excuse to look away, we watched. And as Ursuline students, as Ursuline, we knew we had to do more than just watch. We remained faithful and held each other accountable to COVID guidelines, recognizing that the impact of our actions in this time stretches far beyond ourselves. We sought out service initiatives through programs that facilitate locally growing and supplying produce, stepping towards lower carbon emissions. We raised concerns over prioritizing diversity, equity, and inclusion, especially in the framework of Ursuline's strategic plan, which will help shape this community through the next 5 years and hopefully beyond. And most important, we recognize that we cannot resolve to be content or satisfied with how far we have come. We are Ursuline. Our actions in approaching the fires that plague our world define what the Ursuline community will be to those who take responsibility for it going forward. Despite having had limited time in the school building, our class has made its mark on the identity of Ursuline. So, although we may have lost some time in each other's physical presence, we never truly lost Ursuline. So long as we have each other, this incredible class of change-making individuals, we can never lose Ursuline. We may be heading in different directions, at least for a while, but we never have to fear leaving Ursuline behind. As I look at my fellow graduates today, the Ursuline I'm taking with me is one I'm proud to claim. Be proud of yourselves, ladies. Enjoy this moment, and enjoy all those that await you. Congratulations, and thank you.